would we have imagined that in 20 years, in that, somehow a combination of fake news, social media, and would all come together in a line to actually make it harder to work out what the truth is and what life is for?
Increasingly ideas and words themselves are, for lack of a better way of explaining it, being weaponized to serve certain ideas as well. And the lack of a definition increasingly between information, which is passive, and knowledge, which is supposed to be an active pursuit, is sort of aiding that, no?
Agreed. You're perfectly right. And I think that question brings up a certain tension of our age. I mean, you and I are old enough to know that, when the internet first arrived, and first of all, on the dial-up, it could take years to connect. But once you were on it, you thought, this can only be a force that will liberate humanity. Because imagine you can write to somebody and they get your words within a few seconds. You can read anything from around the world. I began to Google poets and who had only read about in books. I'd never read their works, and then their collected works would show up. And I thought, would we have imagined that in 20 years, in that, somehow a combination of fake news, social media, and would all come together in a line to actually make it harder to work out what the truth is and what life is for?
Yeah, but you think the creative space is as open as it was when you started? Do you see a shrinkage there as well?
No, there's no shrinkage. It would only get more and more open. That makes it harder for the consumer of creative work not to get distracted by the flood of things coming your way. When you feel, when you're very rich, you don't notice how you spend your money. And if you only had 3 books to read, then you would really make sure, sometimes when I go on a vacation, I go travel, I choose one book from my library to read for that week. It has to deliver, because then I've left everything else behind.
Sure.
And that way, a little bit of scarcity is an advantage in art. Then you really feel the weight of somebody's work. When you have a flood of words and you can read, toggle between an Instagram post, a Facebook post, the newspaper, and a book, the book ends up losing out because it doesn't have that frothiness. Yes.
I also think, which leads me to this, the democratization of art in that way. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because it does take away from the focus of enjoyment also, probably,
I hope there's no contradiction saying that art should be relentlessly democratized so that everyone has access, while keeping up aristocratic spirit of saying there is some art that is better than other art, and that is, and everyone should experience that, because it's not possible to experience all books and all art in life. There are some things that have to be part of the human experience. Everybody who learns the language of that art form should gravitate to those artworks.